Question 3. The following ratios have been calculated from the recent financial statements of Sheridan Limited. Both businesses operate, Enterprise and Sheridan Limited, I should say. So there's Enterprise and Sheridan Limited. Both businesses operate in the retail industry. Okay, we've been given average collection period, gross profit margin, average inventory days, and profit margin. Okay, now it says compare and contrast the financial conditions of the business on the basis of the ratios above. All right, so on the basis of the ratios above. Now, when you're doing a question like this, tell me the obvious. So let's do my average collection period. Now, my average collection period says that Enterprise is 15 days higher than Sheridan Limited. Believe it or not, that's a mark. Okay? Now, Sheridan, therefore, collects from his customers so he can collect better than his customers, so which takes on an average 32 days. Nothing hard about that. So therefore you go, there's another mark, there's another mark, so there's 3. Next I'm going to do average days in inventory. So I'm going to get my days over and done with first. So my average days inventory. Okay, once again, my average days in inventory. So in this case, Enterprise, we're looking between here and here. Oh, hang on, so that's 16 days, not 15 days. Oops. So between here and here was 16 days, not 15. So Enterprise takes 15 days longer to sell its inventory than Sheridan Limited. So Enterprise needs to monitor this. Monitor inventory to ensure stock does not become obsolete. There's another mark. All right, so now let's have a look at gross profit margin. So my gross profit margin indicates to me that Enterprise, higher gross profit margin. Let me get my pen working right. By 14%. which indicates enterprise has a higher markup. There's your 2 marks for that. Profit margin. So my profit margin is enterprise is higher than Sheridan. By 1%. This suggests when looked at in conjunction with GP margin, so gross profit margin, that Sheridan has a better control over costs. Because Sheridan's got a lower gross profit margin and only fractionally lower net profit margin. So therefore between here and here is only 14.5%. So that means that 14.5% is their operating costs, and between here and here is 27.5%. So they've got higher operating costs. So you need to look at your ratios, the materials that we give you. You've got to look at them in together. So we've got a togetherness here. Now the last thing we ask for is, so that's A taken care of. When we look at B, it says which of the 2 businesses has the characteristics of a more price competitive business. So give your reasons. Now to be a more price competitive business means that you're going to be making lower margins. So you can sort of see straight away that 24% on gross profit, they're not putting their sales price up much more than their purchase price. So that must make them in a competitive industry. So if I had 38%, well, that's less competitive. So if I wanted to have a price war with someone, I could just, quickly reduce this sort of stuff. So let's have a look at B. So I'm going to say Sheridan has the characteristics of a more price competitive business. And I'll tell you for exactly the same reasons. Its gross profit margin is lower. Than enterprise. Indicating reluctancy to increase sales price too much. So that's 1. I can tell my overheads are kept low because the difference between my 24% and my gross profit margin and my net profit margin is only 14.5%. So overheads are low. Making 14.5% of sales. Now, how did I work that out? These are gross profit margin and net profit margin are 2 indicators of sales. So how much profit I make in comparison to sales, how much gross profit I make in comparison to sales. So therefore the 14.5%, which is the difference between the 2, is a making of sales. Who's asked me that? Sorry, ask me again. Difference between my gross profit and my net profit. So is only 14.5%. Whereas here, the difference between my gross profit and my net profit is 27.5%. So you can see that they've got more costs below their gross profit and above their net profit. So it's not a competitive business. Businesses get fat when they get rich, just like most people put on a little bit of weight when they've got a little bit of comfort. Businesses do the same. So their overheads, so the difference between here and here, blow out a little bit.
Doesn't enterprise show that they can hold their liabilities longer than Sheridan?
Hold their liabilities longer.
They can hold it over the assets they're showing the 48 days.
Oh yeah, well see this is it. So that becomes laziness in a business. So I'm holding my collection period, I don't need to collect my money too quickly. Oh look at this, I'm holding my inventory for a bit longer, so therefore they're less competitive. If you were in a competitive industry, you're going to try and make sure you collect from your customers quickly, make sure you don't hold your inventory for too long. So try and keep your overheads down, so the difference between these two. So hang on, let me just finish this question. So I've got 2 marks there. And I'll just explain what I just said to Sam. The lower average days, now I'm talking about days inventory and days collection. So inventory and collections indicate the business wishes, and I'll put an E in there, to minimise investment in current assets. Thereby reducing costs. Current assets. So CA, just current assets. So now when you're answering a question like this, you're going to have to tie two items together. Now we can say collection periods is my accounts receivable and my inventory is my current assets. So both of those are talking about current assets. So here I mentioned down the bottom about investing in current assets. And we're talking about gross profit margin and net profit margin. Well, that's indicating a competitiveness in my business because it's also talking about my overheads. So I'm going to talk about my gross profit margin and my net profit margin, and I'm going to talk about, and so we've got here there and there, so that makes up 4 marks as well.